for this one, I'm going to move on to the first. So data, okay, we have to collect data. It's statistic data. It's everything we do in statistics. We need some data. We need some information. We need some number. We need some responses. So that's important, data. So type of data. When we collect information, we can get that's called data. There's two types of data for this one. The first one is called qualitative data, which in qualitative, we talk about attributes, label, and non-numerical entries. The quantitative data is the one that consists of numerical measurements or count. So you can think about this, like some people say, I refer quality over quantity. What that means is I refer someone good at heart. I'd rather have less friends, but they are good friends versus I have so many friends and they're not there for me. So those are the things that we use it all the time. Quality versus quantity, right? Quantity just numbers. We have a lot of, not something that we can count. Versus quality is just like names, characteristics like color of your hair, color of your shoes, type of clothes that you have. Like I have jeans, I have t-shirts, I have sweaters, all of those things. So qualitative, we're not gonna be able to count. We don't need to count, okay? We don't do any calculation with qualitative data, okay? So something that we can think about, for example, but sometimes qualitative can be numbers. For example, student ID. Think about you have a student ID, but are we gonna multiply? Are we gonna do some computation with student ID? Probably not. We won't do it, right? So qualitative, it could be an ID, it could be a numbers, but that number just to identify an object or you, okay? So take a minute. I have two tables. One is qualitative data, one is quantitative data. I want you to use the dot and the square to drag it and put it at the right place. So for table A, what do you think? Should it be a circle or should it be a square? So over here, I give you an instruction. The circle dot represents qualitative data. The square represents quantitative data. Can you take a minute I'm going to show the response so you can do that. Okay. So think about, I have two tables. Table A, put the dot where it should be. I'm not going to say which one is the correct one yet. I'll wait until you've finished. Okay. Okay, so that is good. So I see there is one, hold on. I have one. Jayla, we are in conference. So if you can log off and join us in conference, okay? All right, so look over here. I see, oh, okay. I thought I saw one circle in here, but no, you already moved it. So this is correct. The circle over here, they just give you a list of things, even though I have numbers, right? I said there's 1, there's 12, but it's just a list of items, just a name of something. So it's not quantitative. So the square on for table B, that is correct. Perfect. So be careful before you, these are the type of questions you run into for sorry, I forgot what I'm going to say. These are the things that you will run into with the summative. These are the type of questions that I will ask you. Okay, so these two square over here, that is not the right place. The square should be for table B. Even though this one, like I said, we have numbers, but the number is only name. It's the line number 5, line number 12, right? If you don't do any calculation with these values. So the circle should be for table A. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. Let's look at this example. Another one, we talk about qualitative and quantitative. So over here, I have two columns. The first one is a model. The second one is a base price. Which one you think represents the quantitative data? Which one represents the qualitative data? So over here, I have two items, model and the base price. If you can take a minute and tell me why. Over here, I have the model. I have numbers as well. Over here, I also have numbers, but they're not the same thing. So think about which one is which, all right? So over here, I can have, I'm going to start showing the response. That's not what I want to do. Back to the, okay. All right. So let's see what you have to say. Model is the qualitative. That's good. The base price is quantitative. That is the cost represented by a number. That's awesome. Base price is quantitative. Model is qualitative. Yes, that's correct. Okay, that's good. The model is the qualitative data because it shows the labels, right? The base price is quantitative data. That's good. Model. Even though I move on to the next, for this one, just make sure you type in the answer because at the end of the day, like I said, I can print out and see the report. I can see what you type in, so that would help me a lot. Qualitative, quantitative, good. Price, model. Okay, that's good. I'm not gonna lock the screen, so if you still need to type in, you may. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This one is the one is try it for yourself. So it's the same thing. I just want to make sure that we understand this before we move on. The populations of several U.S. cities are shown in the table. The first column is a city: Cleveland, Detroit, Houston, Las Vegas, Portland, Topeka, right? And the second column is the population. Which data are qualitative data and which one are quantitative data? So that's part A. I want you to type down what that is. So for this one, it's the one that I will go back and kind of grade it. So I will take a look and check. So please take a minute. I'll give you time to work on this. B, decide whether each data set consists of numerical or non-numerical entry. Okay, so even though if you chose one of them is qualitative, and then you can tell me is numerical or non-numerical. All right, so take almost all of you finished, so take another second. Okay, qualitative is the population, quantity. I think for this one, you have it opposite. The qualitative is a city. The population is quantitative. So for this person, you have a switch, okay? Quantitative is population and qualitative is a city. This is correct. City is non-numerical, population is numerical, right? Because we have numbers. So this answer right here is correct. City, qualitative, population, quantitative. CD is non-numerical, population is numerical. Okay, good. CD, quantity. This is good. So it seems that you guys doing really good with this one. I think we are ready to move on to a new concept. Okay, that's good. Perfect. Now lock the screen. Move on. All right, so we have data. We talk about two types of data. One is qualitative, one is quantitative. And now once we have this one is when we get the data and we're gonna decide what to do with it, right? So it's called the levels of measurement, how we measure our data. So we're gonna talk about two, there are four of those, but right now we're gonna focus on two things first. The first one is nominal level of measurement. The second one is ordinal level of measurement. So these are the two things that I can look over here. The first one is nominal, right? For nominal level of measurement, it's just the name itself, it's a name. It's a name of something, right? So in this case, it's talk about qualitative only. It can use names, it can use it for labels or qualities. We just talk about qualities like names of the city, color of your hair. Those are the things. No mathematical computations can be made. You don't do anything with that. So like I said, I'm bringing back the example of the student IDs. You have the IDs. Those are numbers. So I'm not going to calculate. I'm not going to do anything with it. It doesn't make sense for me to add your student number with another student number. It doesn't give me anything. The number doesn't mean anything when I do any computation. So for example, name of student, finite math, and statistics. So if we have a roster of something, it's nominal, okay? The next one is ordinal, right? Ordinal is this one is we talk about can be qualitative or quantitative. It can be numbers, it can be names. But what we can do with this one is we can arrange them in certain order. It can go from lowest to highest or from alphabet from A down to Z or opposite. So for this gray, we have ABC or we can have 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we can put them in order. So the name right here tell you is in order. So these are the two things. So questions for me, I'm going to look some of the examples that I have. So I have these two tables, okay? Two data set are shown below. Which one represent nominal level? Which one represent the ordinal level, right? I have two things. So the first one is a top 5 TV programs. And then the second one is a network affiliate in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I have all the names over here. So if I look over here, what I can see is, I can try it over here. This one, it says the key thing is this is top 5. When you say top 5, top 10, that means you actually put them in order. You rank the TV program. So for this one is the ordinal, okay? This one is ordinal. It's really hard for me to write, but oh well. Okay, versus table B, this one is just a bunch of names. This is television, the network name. So we have ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox, right? So this one is nominal. It's just a bunch of names they put together. It's not even in order. Well, over here, you may put them in order, but it doesn't make any sense, right? So ordinal, because I have this in order, top 5, top 10, or the finals, right? When we talk about football, like the championship, like the finals team's gonna play. So they kind of rank them. Over here, just a bunch of names, okay? So let's see, some of you choose. I see some of you have responses, so I can click here, table B, nominal level, ordinal, TV program, network. So over here, this is thinking table A, ordinal, table B, then none, right? Nominal, okay? This should be an M, not N. It's nominal, not none, okay? All right, this is the one that I want you to start to write your answer for this one. I can, hold on, I don't need to do that. I'm going to hide the response. Okay, over here. All right, so over here I have two things for you. One is going to be nominal. One is going to be ordinal. So take a few seconds to write that. I think right now I'm going to log off from Zoom. All right, so let's see the response. I forgot the question. The first one is final standing, the collection of numbers. Okay, the first one is ordinal, correct. But can you tell me why the second one is nominal? I see that the first two have it. But why? The second one has numbers. Why is not ordinal? Why the second question, number 2 is nominal? Can you do me a favor, type in the explanation in your response so I can go and look at it to see what you think. Why the phone number? It's have a bunch of numbers, but why is nominal? It's correct, but why? You have it correct. That's fine. So I'm gonna go back. Can you please take 10 seconds to type it in? Y. Just for number 2. Y is nominal. Okay, I have this one person said because it is in a random order, right? It's just the numbers. It's not in order. It's a bunch of them. It's just random. Okay, nominal because still thinking. Just a collection of numbers. Okay, I can take that. So over here, I have this person right here. It's a collection of phone number is ordinal. Not true. Okay. Collection of phone number is just a nominal actually. So you have a switch. Final standard a nominal. That is not true. So for this person, is the answer for this is not correct. If you have a switch. Okay. Collection of numbers. Right. Because we don't do anything with phone numbers. It's just to identify that is us. That is your number, but that's it. I'm not going to multiply. I'm not going to divide. I'm not going to do anything with your number, and I will not organize your number, right? It's just too much. I wouldn't do it. Okay, thank you. Let's move on. Okay, let's do a check-in point. We still talk about ordinal and nominal, okay? What type of data set is this? What level of measurement is this? So when I talk about data set, let me write down what I meant. So when I talk about data, the type of data, that is this qualitative or quantitative? Qual versus quantitative. So that is what I mean by type of data, okay? Not part B is asking the level of measurement. So the level of measurement is the one that we just talked about, which is ordinal versus nominal. Okay, so take a few seconds. Answer these two. Is this qualitative or quantitative? Is this ordinal or nominal? We have our 16 students already respond. I'll wait for a couple more before I show the answers. Okay. All right, I'm going to wait. I need the arrow. Okay. So over here, I'm going to show the response. For this one is qualitative data, correct, because it's just a list of names. This one is ordinal, correct, because there's the top 5. So it's organized in that way. So that's good. Ordinal. This is qualitative. This is qualitative data. That is good. I think you got this. You got this. We got this. Okay, perfect. Okay, I just want to make sure that we got this. I'm gonna go through ordinal. Okay, you have the answer switch, but you're right. It's ordinal and qualitative. Okay, perfect. You still thinking? All right. Okay, so I think that is good. That is correct. So let's look at the last. There are 2 more type of measurements that we're going to talk about. Is the first one, so we just talk about ordinal and nominal. That's the first 2. So we still talk about level measurement, but there are 2 more type of measurements. So these 2, the last 2 is more difficult to identify because they're really similar with each other. Okay, so it's interval, and the next one is ratio. We have 4 of these: interval, ratio, and the last 2 that we just talked about is ordinal and nominal. Okay, so these 2 is gonna be a little bit difficult. So we're gonna go over the notes, the example, and then next time we meet, we do practice, and I will do a Kahoot just to kind of check in with you to see if you remember anything. Okay. So interval, so for this is the interval. If you think about interval, it's gonna have a starting point and an end point. So let me put down. So for interval, I'm gonna have a start point. Start. And we're gonna go to an end. Okay. Or what we do is for the interval, if you can think about something is go from minimum to maximum. We organize that way. So it's a chunk of data that we can put them together. For example, we look at the temperature. When they talk about temperature for today, low is 40, high is 60. That is the interval of measurement. It goes from low to high. Okay. You can calculate the differences. So we can say the high is 60, so the differences is 20-degree differences for today. So it can be warm or it can be really cold for today. So we can do some calculation between the data, right? Or you can say, oh, in the morning it's going to be 40-degree, and in the afternoon it's going to be 60-degree. So it's increasing. So we can do some calculation. For the 0, it simply represents just a position. So you think about sometime in the winter, we can have negative degree, right? It goes from -10 to high is 5, right? We have the 0 in between, but the 0 is just like a position. It's not really tell you much, okay? So the next one is a ratio. The ratio is, we use this all the time. The idea for use ratio is, the key word for ratio is to compare. So for you guys, for senior, you will apply for college. You will look at, some of you asked me to write you a recommendation letter already, which is due in a couple of days, right? So I'm about to finish. So when you look at colleges, and you need to compare, okay, for this college, it has this, what I want. But for this college, I have another program that I want. So now you start to compare. So we have some information that you can use to compare, right? It's similar to interval, but the 0 means 0, right? It's not a position, okay? So for example, we talk about heartbeat, right? If your heart doesn't beat, it's a 0, the rate is 0, that means that person is dead, right? It really means 0. So it goes from 0 to 100 something, right? If your heart stopped beating, that means you're dead. So the 0 really means 0. But sometimes we can do in some sort of exercise, and then we can compare our heartbeat. So like from if we are rest, we have about 68 beat per minute versus 120 when we do some exercise. So those are the things that we can compare. A ratio a ratio of two data values can be formed so that one data can be meaningful expressed as a multiple of another. So we can talk about student-teacher ratio. We have student, if we go to college, we want to have a small ratio. Sometimes we said 20 to 1. That means on average, each class has 20 students and 1 teacher. We want that. We don't want a big lecture hall like UIC. If you go to college, it takes about like a couple hundred students and 1 teacher. It's a lecture hall, so the teacher stand in front of you, give lecture. There's no interaction. Then there's no way that he can take questions from you. So interval, if you can think it's a chunk of something, the ratio is just we be able to use them to compare. It can be interval. I'm talking about heartbeats, right? It can go from low to high, but the 0 has a meaning, all right? So this one is hard. So we'll come back to this. Next time we will come back to this one and we'll talk more about interval and ratio when we do more practice. But right now, I'm going to